Hello, who are you and where are you from?
Stephen Abramson. I'm from New York City.
And I'm Karen Greenspan. I'm also from New York City, but originally from Dallas, Texas.
And we're husband and wife.
All right, fantastic. And where are we right now?
Right now we're in Hudson River Park, right near our neighborhood of Lower Manhattan. Yeah? Okay,
Oh.
which is where we live.
What do you do?
Well, I'm retired.
And I am a dance journalist.
My goodness. And what are you retired from?
I was in business for many years. I was in healthcare marketing and pharmaceuticals.
Okay. And so, has the climate changed at all since you were younger?
So I lived in a very hot place when I was growing up, Texas. And, you know, one's perceptions as a child, you can't really, my perceptions as an adult, I'm sure, are quite different. I didn't really think about the climate back then. It just was what it was. Now, you know, I'm aware that sometimes the warm season seems to stretch a little bit longer, and of course we have storms. Do I know, other than, you know, the droughts and the fires and the floods and all of that are reported from all over the world, I have to assume the climate has changed.
Yeah, well, I've lived in New York my whole life, and there's no question that there's a change in climate. Summers are longer. We can get hot weather. We used to call warm weather in October Indian summer. Now it's like you have Indian summer all October. The storms are much worse, much more violent, and we're very aware in Lower Manhattan that we are in a flood zone. And this has become very clear, certainly over the last few years, with some of the hurricanes that caused massive flooding. And I forget if it was Irene or which one it was, but because there's so many. But we're definitely in an area in Lower Manhattan where there's the risk potential for flooding is pretty high.
So how did Sandy affect you guys?
Then maybe it was Sandy. That was the really I think Sandy was the really bad one. It affected us personally because our building, we lived close by, got flooded, and we were out of there for 2 days. And
the whole neighborhood was flooded. Everything was flooded.
Yeah, but we were only we lost power for about 2 days. But when I was growing up as a kid, you know, we never had anything like that. So
sea level rise is a real issue here.
Yeah. But I can also tell you the Hudson River is much cleaner than it was when I grew up. When I grew up, you could see sewage in the river. Now, you know, people kayak, you could probably almost swim in it. So that's been good, but in terms of the general climate, it's significantly different.
That's the Hudson River behind us.
That's correct.
And then on a daily basis, well, first of all, you told me you're on the way to do something right now that's environmental.
Yes. So we're dropping off our compost in a compost bin that's here in the park. And I've been doing that, I don't know, for at least 10 years. I'm very dedicated to recycling as much as I possibly can of, you know, everything that we don't use anymore. In particular, food scraps. We have beautiful gardens down here in the Hudson River Park, beautiful gardens, and I like to think that what I contribute to the compost helps to create the beauty that we enjoy so much.
Well, that was my question on kind of an everyday basis. Are you concerned about climate? Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, very concerned versus not very concerned on an often basis.
Yeah, I would say I'm I'm at 9 or 10, you know, very concerned about it. Because it just, you know, you get the UN reports, you get various reports, and things just seem to be getting worse and worse and worse. With the ice caps melting, the frequency of storms, it's the picture is kind of bleak right now.
Yes, this has been a hot issue for me, as I said, for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I've been attending, he can attest to the fact that I have been running out of the house to attend rallies with posters over my chest and back for years.
And well then, do either of you have an optimistic or pessimistic view of the future?
Well, I am generally an optimist. I would love to have an optimistic outlook on climate, but I'm afraid to say that I'm kind of pessimistic. I just don't see enough of the urgency, not only in the United States, but around the world. And, we are at a point where, and, we keep reading about this, that the temperature in the planet just keeps going up to a point where it's, it can be very difficult to bring it back to, what would be, quote unquote normal. On the other hand, when you read about how much is going on in terms of solar and wind and getting off the dependence of fossil fuels, that makes me optimistic. I just feel like we just have to move faster.
Yeah.
We have to move with
Faster.
more urgency and seriousness. And I once had a conversation with a guy in upstate New York who was an architect, and he created a home in upstate New York where they don't need heat. They were able to do it, I don't know, some other kind of way. And we were talking about it, and I said, so basically, we have the tools. We have the methodology. We can do this, but we don't seem to have the political will. It's just not there yet. Not as much as it should be. Now, I know the Biden administration just passed some climate change bills. I think it's part of the Inflation Reduction Act, and that's good, but we need to do more.
Yeah, a lot more. The consumerist model that we have is really just doing us in. This idea that we need more and more and more, and we have endless resources to use without consideration is really something we just have to reverse and think about differently. To make this happen in a time frame that's going to affect a change that we need.
Well, that was some fantastic stuff. Thank you very much. We are down here on the lower end of Manhattan on the 29th of November, and the weather is cold, and we have the Statue of Liberty behind them, and with the Hunger Memorial, for the Irish Hunger Memorial behind us, and the 9/11 Memorial too. Thank you very much.